Hi all, how you going? Wayne with Living with Bikes. Today's little exercise is fuel pump. So this is the fuel pump out of a CBR BLACKBIRD. It's a 2007 model, this one. One of the ways you can tell between, so this is fuel injected pump as opposed to a carbureted pump. So this is a very late, I just happen to know this is a first month 07 this come off, and what I've had to do is replace the pump. So there's the original pump that come off it, and if you had smell-o-vision you could smell that horrible old fuel. So basically what had happened is that my son Lucas has bought himself a CBR BLACKBIRD, and when we went to pick it up he turned the key on and hit the button to prime the pump, and it just clicked. A solenoid clicked, nothing happened. So, and the bike had been sitting for quite a long time, like over a year. So we're pretty sure at that time that the pump was going to be shagged, because these sit basically in the bottom of the fuel tank like that, with the tank going over here. So when you've got the last little bit of fuel, you know, I've got 10 k's to go before I'm going to run out, well, the fuel's actually sitting in here, in this little bit. So no matter how much fuel you've got on your bike, when you leave them sit for such a long time, it's in there doing that. And basically what it does is it just clogs up the pump, and if you've ever seen fuel, it goes like a brown clay, and pretty much that's what had happened. And as soon as the gentleman, the guy that Lucas bought the bike off, Albie, he tried to start it for Lucas to, you know, to give it a, like, to fire it up, so when he got there, you know, it was going to work and he could have a look at the bike. But then he found out that it wouldn't run, and he thought that the battery might have been a problem, so he put a new battery in it for Lucas, but it was still nothing. So basically we loaded it on a trailer. He bought the bike, loaded it on a trailer, brought it home, and then I today pulled it apart and found what I thought it was, to the extreme that I wanted to make sure that if I was going out to buy parts for this, to fix this, that there wasn't anything else wrong. So what I actually done was this, I put, there we go, I put my fuel tank complete on Lucas's new bike, and then I fired it up. So that told me straight away, and it's still plugged in now. There's the pump. So that told me straight away that that it was only the fuel pump, because sometimes what it can be is this one here, or this one here, drives the electronic side of it, but everything else on the bike at the time when I was testing it said that it was just the pump, and that the solenoid was clicking to say, you know, I want to work, but there's a resistance there. And that's what happens, they clag up. You flick them on and the resistance pushed back, and then it goes to the solenoid, and solenoid switches it off. And basically if you tried to bypass that, the next thing you do was probably start blowing fuses, and then you'd start melting wires, because this poor little pump was seized jam shut. So anyway, so I have the fuel tank here for anyone that would like to, or has never seen one upside down, out and apart. And there's that oval shape I said. You've got down here, so that is your fuel gauge, which is inside the tank. It just goes up and down. So it gives you the fuel gauge on your console there. I have thoroughly cleaned this tank out. It was, I don't know if you can see that. You can see that bit there. That's the actual float bowl that comes up and down. So yeah, it was full of mud. We got all that out, and now I'm about to put that pump back in, and I'll take my tank back off, and the beautiful bluebird she is sitting over there. I know it's a blackbird, but sometimes I just call her a bluebird. So there's my girl. In actual fact, I've just had the, don't know if this will come back off, but I will take that off and show you. Under there's where the air cleaner lives, and I've just taken mine off because I've got a K&N air cleaner, and I've cleaned it all, and I've just got it inside drying, so that can go back on, and then we'll put the tank back on. So one thing at a time. But we'll get back to Lucas's. When I've got it all back together, and Lucas is here because he's coming over tonight. When he's here, we will go through and tell you exactly what it is, like the year and how many Ks and all that sort of stuff. So we'll do that later. But at the moment, I'm just going to get this thing put back together. Okay. So now the only reason Lucas isn't here at the moment is because he's at work. What I can tell you is the second that I get this job finished, he'll be here. It's always the way. A mesh filter as well. It's like a heavy filter. There is another one in there, and I have to get this. I need to get this back in. Just making sure that it's all perfectly clean. Last little blow. Leave that down there so I don't do anything silly. Just double check the connectors. It's plugged in. That's all strapped in. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. All right. If you have a motorbike and you weren't going to use it for any period of time, more than a couple of months, what would you do? And I guess really it comes down to using some fuel stabilizers to stop the fuel from turning, or if you're keen enough, to empty all the fuel out. And I suppose they're the only two real ways you can do it. I would probably be more inclined to, you can see this tap here, to lift the tank up and put a line on that and drain it from there and drain it out to like a bucket or something, and that will actually get all the fuel out of that, and then even run the bike for a second until it runs the bike injectors out, so you're not leaving it sitting in there either. That's the only way we can really think about how to do it safely. So anyway, I'll get them. I'll just go and grab a socket. So what I do is I button them all up so they're firm, and then I go around and equally give them the same force. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I didn't go mental hard, I didn't, because it's a rubber gasket, so you don't want to be squishing it out the side and overdoing it. Alright, So we've got to that point now. The best way that I've seen to, or that I figured out to get these tanks out, these here hook in underneath the front. So once you've undone the two bolts on the back here, once you slide the tank back a bit, and then it can pivot up. You pivot it up, get yourself a little block of wood, top of the air cleaner, and then just sit it up like a bonnet on a car. You've got 1, 2, and then usually electrical, 3 wires to do. So I'll start off with this one on the side here, which we've loosened the cowl for. So you will need to loosen this cowl just to put your hand in there to get that. That's that wire that we said for the fuel gauge. So that's that one. The next one will be the fuel pump. So this is the main line going to the fuel injection rail. It will spill a bit of fuel. Occasionally you'll drop the nut. Remove the block of wood. Get your tank up. In this case, lay it on its back. Okay, so we just do everything backwards now. You can sit in there. You can sit up there for a minute. Underneath. Plugs into there, which is your fuel gauge. Sits comfortably in there. Okay, here's the last one. Okay. Clear these little back wings. There's one there. Tank up. Drops into its spot. Little back wings. One there. And one there. Just rock around, make sure it's all in. Bigger one for this one. So here we go. Don't you hate putting fuel in motorbikes like this? I do. You always think you're going to spill it. Oh, I can smell that old fuel, just the waft coming back. It just gets into the metal. So what have I put in there? There's 10 litres. Just to tell me if the fuel gauge is working too. Yeah, it's got 1 bar, so what I was doing there, I was just loading the fuel up. So what I'll do now is have a quick look with the torch and check for any leaks, any drips underneath. So then I know that, well, hopefully there's not, and then I know that the system's all been pressurised and that it's running okay. It will start now, I'm 100% sure, 99.999% that it will fire up. So we'll do one quick one, but then I'll shut it off so I can check to make sure there's no leaks. Okay. Pump up. Let's go down and have a look in there. Nothing dribbling there. Nothing dripping there. This bike's run at about 64 psi, so if there was even a chance, like a small leak, it would emphasise it just with the amount of pressure that's pushing on it. So that all looks good. So now we've just got to wait for Lucas to get here. He should be here in the next second. No, I don't know what time it is, but he'll arrive. Yeah, another look over it, and then go from there and let him go for a little ride and let him tell me what he thinks. I'm not going to ride it. I always reckon, you know, that's not fair. It's his bike. And he hasn't ridden it yet, so I'll let him go for a ride. I might even go out with him and just follow him, make sure he's okay. And then after that, he can clean it and baby it and look after it. But another Blackbird to the family, which is lovely to have. Okay, this is the first time Lucas is going to ride his new CBR1100 XX. How many Ks is on it, Lucas?
12,964.
So 12,964 on a 2007 CBR. Nearly unheard of nowadays. But we've done an oil change just to make sure. And as you saw, I put a new pump in it for him, fuel pump. So hopefully that's everything we have to do. The bike itself is, Lucas actually give it a polish today, which is nearly surprising, but it is a lovely machine. And now him and Molly can go touring together on it. It comes up really silver in the sunlight. If you find you don't like it, Lucas, just bring it back and I'll look after it.
Alright.